right, hi, welcome to the finals for the senior category of Young Coders Global Hackathon for Coding Lab. Great to see all of you guys. And you don't see the participants here because they are busy coding the problem statement and they are in their respective breakout rooms. Okay, but we have opening statement from Candice first.
Hi, a very good afternoon to everyone. Thanks for joining us today. On behalf of the organizing committee, welcome to the finals of the Young Coders Global Hackathon 2020 senior category. We had a very exciting semi-finals last week, which the judges have spent quite some time deliberating to who to let into the finals. As you can see from their previous presentation and profiles, which are currently up on the competition site, all selected participants have done really well and fully deserve a spot in these finals. From a gig website for freelancers by Emily from Singapore, to a social distancing program with computer vision by Ali from Turkey, a chatbot by William and Dimitrios from Japan, and even a one-stop site for all COVID-related information. They have all done something exciting and to be proud of. We all know that the COVID-19 virus does not discriminate. All around the world, there are more than 3 million cases with a fatality rate of 7%. This unfortunate situation is not something we can just wish away. And therefore, we are glad to be able to do a small part in response to this crisis by holding this hackathon, which is a 100% online competition, to bring communities together where truly anyone from around the world can participate to formulate a proposed solution to a perceived challenge relating to COVID-19. To all healthcare workers who are at the forefront of this pandemic, we dedicate this hackathon to you in honor of your tireless hard work. We stand united as our nation's battle against COVID. Again, we would like to thank the close to 100 participants who had submitted projects. We welcome all of you to join us today to support the finalists as they work hard on the challenge, and we hope to see you participating again next year. To all our finalists today who are now very busy programming their final challenge, we are very excited to see what they're going to be programming for us, as all of them have very different talents. They all may be aiming for the top prize, but we must remember that each and every one of their works will bring all of us closer together globally, not only in our local communities, but all around the world. We look forward to seeing their final project. Thank you. I will now invite Ms. Niwa-san from Japan.
Hi, thank you, Candice. Hello, I'm Ivy from Coding Lab Japan. Today I will speak in Japanese because I'm from Coding Lab Japan. こんにちは、皆さん。そしてご参加とてもありがとうございます。Young Coder Global Hackathon 2020のセニアカテゴリーへのファイナルステージへようこそ。とうとう本日がファイナルステージとなります。ジュニアのカテゴリーと同じようにセニアのカテゴリーもすごく選ぶのはとても大変でした。その中から今回5名のファイナリストを選ばさせていただきました。前回のセミファイナリストのプレゼンテーションとかをご覧になりました。特設サイトにコーディングにありますので、コーディングラボのホームページからぜひご覧になってください。みんなファイナルステージに残るためにとっても頑張ってくれました。それぞれの個性がとっても出ててよかったです。今回でのファイナルステージでもとても楽しみにしてます。皆さんの型にとらわれない発想力が今後起こりうるいろんな問題を解決してくれると信じてます。楽しみにしてます。本日も頑張ってください。Have a fun, everyone.
All right, thank you, Candice and Ivy, for the opening statement. So for today's competition, we have the judging panel. Firstly, we will have Mira from Coding Lab Japan. Yes, and next we have Brian from Coding Lab Japan.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, and next we have Candice from Coding Lab Singapore.
Hi, all the best.
All the best. And lastly, we have Yongning from Coding Lab Singapore.
Hi everyone, all the best and have lots of fun.
Yes, and have fun. And my name is Lynn. I'll be the guest panelist for today. Okay, thank you. And next up, we'll have Yongning to give us an introduction of the challenge statement for today.
Hi everyone, let me share my screen. So today's challenge is kind of interesting. Yeah, so for the contestants today, they are given 3 challenges to choose from. So the 3 challenges are, number 1, data analytics for decision makers. So as all of us know, at this point in time with this novel COVID-19, a lot of information is being generated on a daily basis, huge amount of data, and the people are actually making it available from various sources on a regular basis. So, and at the end of the day, how do we combat this? We need good data that provides good information, which in the end, smart decision makers will be able to translate into good decisions. So the challenge for our team is essentially to develop a data analytics toolkit to help decision makers obtain the data quickly, analyze the data intelligently, and finally make decisions wisely. The second challenge is on fake news. The spread of fake news is as harmful and sometimes even more harmful than the spread of COVID-19 itself. So for this challenge, we want our young developers to develop a solution that would actually allow the general public to easily and quickly, and of course, importantly, accurately determine whether the piece of information that he or she received is fake or real. I mean, I'm sure all of us have encountered situations where there are certain rumors that comes through MSN, WhatsApp, and we'll be looking at it and thinking, is this real or is this fake? So if such a tool is available, then all of us would be able to grab information better and we'll be able to make better decisions as well. Now, the third challenge that we have is a guided hackathon. So in this guided hackathon, instead of a general challenge statement, we have made it in such a way where we break down this challenge into various sub-challenges. So each sub-challenge will have a certain number of points which the contestants can score. Right. Overall, if you look at this challenge, it is similar to a data analytics toolkit where the contestants will need to write a program that will, first of all, be able to read in CSV files, perform data analysis on the data, visualize the data, or more accurately, to allow users to easily visualize the data. Then the program should also be able to perform sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis meaning to be able to use computer to determine whether a statement, say a text or a note given by a person is positive or negative. And of course, finally, we'll want our contestants to be able to automatically extract data using public APIs. Public APIs are applications programming interface, which allows other programs to connect to it. So there are plenty of APIs out there available providing data on COVID-19. So let us do a quick look at the details of this challenge 3. I think most of the contestants, if not all, I believe all 5 of them actually chose to work on this challenge. So we can actually go a little bit more in depth in this. So it has a little setting where we live in an imaginary city of Singapore, and the contestants, you are a well-regarded computer software developer who has solved many problems with your programming skills. The city is now besieged by COVID-19, and the city mayor, Mr. Mayor, had requested for your help. And so there's a little bit backstory. So for the sub-challenge 1, what are they supposed to do? Simply write a program to read a CSV file, determine which are the fields in the file in the CSV data, and the number of records. Right, and they can use the CSV modules if they want. Challenge number 2, or rather sub-challenge number 2, is to dig a little bit deeper into the CSV data. Okay, so in 2.1, contestants will need to add the program to have the capability to calculate the average. So meaning average out the sentiment across all the records in the data. In 2.2, they will have to calculate the percentage of respondents who actually have negative sentiment. Now, sub-challenge number 3. So we are looking at different ways to aggregate, to slice and dice the data. So in 3.1, we want to aggregate it based on age group. So based on the age, whether they are children, teens, young working adults, working seniors, we want to determine what is their average sentiment, because not the entire population is the same. So based on this dimension of the data, we can determine whether the people of a specific age group feels differently from the other group. 3.2, one additional feature where instead of just looking at the numbers, we look at it visually. So graphing it, that helps humans significantly. Next, we can move on to sub-challenge number 4. Okay. This sub-challenge number 4 is looking at a second dimension, which is the sentiment category. Right? So based on the numbers, so the sentiment metric, we can actually group it into 5 categories. Right? So depending on the category, we would want to take a look at the number of respondents who fall under that category. So this is important as we look into the statistics, the overall statistics about the average sentiment across the entire population is going to be easily skewed by the outliers. So whereas if we start breaking them down into the different groups and looking at the different groups in greater detail, we will actually get a better picture. And for decision makers, it is a wonderful tool as well, so that they can actually develop policies that is specifically targeted at the group that needs the most help. Right, so that is what sub-challenge number 4 is about. And sub-challenge number 5 is where earlier the data is based on human analysts providing reading of the sentiment based on the text. So number 5 is about automating this. With the current computing power, we are able to easily perform natural language processing. So students, the contestants are going to make use of this and to automate this process in determining the sentiment of a natural statement that is made by the respondents. Now, sub-challenge number 6, right? It is to develop a simple text-based interface for the user. In this case, it is the mayor who will be performing the different tasks that we listed above at different times. So a simple text-based interface for him to utilize it. And the last, the sub-challenge. So it is a feature where we want the program to automatically extract data that is available at covid-api.com. Right. This API actually contains all the data related to the number of deaths, number of cases, broken down by geographical region, broken down by city. So, and across the entire temporal range since the start of the COVID-19 situation. So there's lots of data available, and good decisions can be derived if we make good use of the data. So with that, that sums up the entire challenge, right? So I'm going to hand back to Lynn on the next part of the program.
All right. Okay. Thank you for explaining the challenge. So next up, we will have a live commentary by the judges for the projects that the finalists have submitted, and we're going through and looking deeper into them. So first up, we have Candice. Who do we have first up?
We're going by alphabetical order, so it's Ali first.
Okay, Ali. You'll be sharing the screen with us?
Yes, let me share my screen and show you the highlights of the project that he had previously submitted.
Okay.
All right, let's see what Ali did. COVID-19 social distance.
Looks like we didn't have a sound.
Ah, okay.
But it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay, let's try that again. Share.
Hello, my project is maintaining social distance with computer vision. It can
Yes,
also prevent spread of the coronavirus.
Yes, good.
And for maintaining social distance, human work isn't needed, like police force. It detects the humans as a box and measures distance between humans. If it's less than threshold, a social distance is 1.5 meters. If less than 1.5 meters, it plays a siren sound. It uses neural network. It's a SSD MobileNet version 1 to detect the human. It's a network architecture. Here is the code how we get the class from the box out. Class 1 represents human and score. If the score of the box greater than threshold value, we add it to the list. And we compare all the boxes in the and distance between the points. If less than set parameter, siren sound plays. Thank you.
All right, that's Ali, 18 from Turkey, who did a COVID-19 social distance with computer vision. Now I think Brian and Lynn will take us through some of the more interesting aspects of his code in his project.
Yeah, Brian, I think you're on mute. Yeah. So actually, I think that is a very, very interesting project that he has, and very good application where now the government and various agencies need to make sure that people are keeping their social distance. So especially at crowded places like supermarkets. I'm not sure how crowded is it in Japan? Supermarket?
They're still crowded. Yeah, they're not too bad. They're better than they were before, but there's still a lot of people. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine such a solution being deployed at supermarkets or places where people still have to go to. So it is a wonderful solution.
Yeah, I agree. When I first saw it, I was impressed with the project that he submitted, and just that the potential for scaling it is awesome. So yeah, you can, yeah. So it's it solves a pretty big problem and a real life problem. I was also impressed that he was one of the few students that actually leveraged machine learning. So a few students did. But so he was using that for his for detecting the distance between people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And during the presentation, he was very clear in terms of how he decided on the model. I mean, he actually made use of model that is pre-trained model. So, and he was looking through various models, and he decided on this particular model because of the speed. Yeah, speed being important as compared to the accuracy. It is not as accurate, but the speed is there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially if you're trying to use it in real time to be monitoring people, like at a supermarket. Yeah, speed becomes a big factor. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so now we are going to try to see whether we have this streaming going on, and we're going to try to see if we can see him live.
Excellent.
So while Candice is working on getting him live, so let's talk about this application. So where else do you think it can be applied to?
So, I mean, I think like you talked about, if it's stationary in any sort of large public space, especially right now with the COVID-19 virus, so transportation hubs, airports, train stations, supermarkets, where people tend to usually get close together. This could add a little bit of a warning for people to kind of keep that social distance away. So
yeah, exactly. And by making use of machines instead of having people, so you can actually reduce the number of people that got to be out there. Oh, I think we have the live stream coming in right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because while we let Candice make sure that it is stable. So in Singapore, we actually have what we call social distancing ambassadors stationed at all these crowded places to ensure that people are keeping that distance. So what happens in Japan?
So I think in Japan, Mio-san can correct me, but I think for the most part, it's just sort of people sort of policing themselves in that category. So everyone trying to keep the distance, and there's it's effective to different degrees depending on where you are. So yeah,
exactly.
But I think it's still a new concept for most people, and so I think in a country like Japan where areas are small and compact, that people are used to actually being closer together. So having people to actually learn this tool like this could be useful, especially if it could be scaled up to something that's actually mobile. So if people can actually use it to observe other things around them as well. So yeah, there could be multiple cameras tracking. So
yeah, exactly. And in terms of the hardware infrastructure, I think it is not going to be expensive because this works with basic webcam.
Yeah.
I think with a higher resolution camera, I'm sure it will be able to work better. And a standard PC has sufficient processing power to actually get this to work.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So it seems to be inexpensive to roll it out.
Yeah, true.
It looks like we might be going back in.
Oh yes, I think we are seeing the live stream on Ali working on the challenge. Yeah, it is live.
Yep, looks like it's working. Good.
So let's take a look. I think it is working on challenge number 3. Yeah, he's looking at the question now.
Yeah, that's good. So I think they've been coding for about 30 minutes at this point. Is that correct? Maybe a little bit less. So
I think more than 30 minutes. I think it's close to an hour. I think we started at 1. They probably started coding at about 1:10 Singapore time.
Okay, good. All right. So I was 1 hour off. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think they still have another hour more to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, what is he working on? I think he is working on the visualization, plotting of the figure. And looks like he is making use of matplotlib.
Yep. Yeah. And then, and then going to read in the data file there in a moment. started writing that line.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whether it is using pandas. So if it is using pandas, it could make the coding a lot faster and easier for the coder, that is, provided they are familiar with pandas.
Yeah, we don't have control to see his import statements. Looks like he's only importing matplotlib in CSV and NumPy. So
yeah. So yeah, he probably is not using pandas. But I think for this challenge is not that complex. So probably pandas is not sufficient. Sorry, is not necessary.
Yeah.
So the other tools you can actually manually do the algorithm to determine the data that you need.
Yeah. And we should mention too that all of the coders are allowed to search the internet for resources. So just like a real programming environment. If you're at home, you're gonna make use of all the resources you can. So they're allowed to go look at forums, reference APIs, and so that is all allowed in the hackathon.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that is important because nowadays with internet, all these resources being available, it is kind of silly not to make use of it. Right. And I don't think there is any real developers who do not make use of the resources available when he or she is working.
Correct. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
But it's looking good. Yeah, it's like Ollie's got making good progress. So good.
Yeah. Perhaps now we should move on to the next contestant that we can take a look. And who is that going to be? Oh, I think that is team better code pending.
Yes, I believe that is the name of the team.
Yeah, pretty interesting name, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is good. And so the participants are William and Deme, so both from Japan. So Ollie, I think we mentioned, was from Turkey. William and Deme are living in Japan. So yeah. And then I think the other contestants are all from Singapore. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Except for Ali. Ali is from Turkey.
Turkey, yep. So Turkey, Japan, and Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And before that, I think we actually have contestants from, I think, Papua New Guinea. So, because this is already the finals, in the very, very first round, we actually have submissions from quite a number of countries.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think India, Papua New Guinea, Australia. So yeah.
So
Singapore.
I think we have more than we have close to like 100 submissions.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And so then this is we mentioned it earlier, but this is the final. So the top 5 contestants are competing now. So
yeah.
So
and they went through one round of the semifinals where they presented their work. Yeah. So the 5 of them actually got selected.
Correct.
I think now Candice is working on grabbing the video.
Okay.
So we are going to be able to see their videos very soon.
Okay. Good. And so the next project that we'll see in a moment. So maybe actually, so the projects that we're looking at right now. Let me bring something up really fast. I can show you for people who may not know the problem statement that they were addressing. So give me just 2 seconds to bring something up, and I will share my screen. Okay, I will share this really fast. Okay, so the videos that we're looking at now in the code, these are the projects the students did to win the top 5 to make it to the finals. So for the senior category, the Python, this was the problem statement that they had to address. So I will read it really quick. So for the Python challenge, ages 13 to 18, technology is playing a massive role in how people are dealing with the coronavirus, COVID-19. So helping with communication, tracking its spread, educating the public, studying the virus, and more. So they were tasked with to create a Python project which can help people solve one issue related to the coronavirus. So it's pretty broad. They had a lot of room to sort of use their creativity and come up with ideas. And we can look really quick on how the 6 points that they were being judged on. So they're judged on the theme, so how well they addressed that question. They're judged on their actual code, so that was the largest percentage was on the code. They were also judged on the creativity and their usability, so how well could people use their projects. And the last 2 were scalability and then social business value. So that is the projects that we're looking at. There's a little context for that. All right, so I will stop sharing that in just one moment. Stop share. There we go.
Yeah, all of them actually have very good videos. I think Candice is ready to show us the video by team Better Code Pending.
Better Code Pending.
Hang on, let me just share again.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Hi.
Hi.
So in this chatbot, which we created, there are multiple main functionalities which are in the functions.
Right. So the problem we solved is the fact that right now there's so much news all around the world. Generally, the news is biased, as we know. People would probably look to more statistics and factual knowledge that have no opinion in them.
Because of this very wide audience age range, we wanted to make our program as accessible as possible. That's why we made 2 versions of our project. The graphical version requires a download and requires you have Python, etc. But then the non-graphical one, anyone can run on just the Google Colab website. One of the functions uses the Johns Hopkins API to receive data from the current coronavirus statistics from whichever country the user asks for. And that's the C update function. Thank you.
All right, that's it for Team Better Program Pending from Japan.
Brian, your mic is
Brian,
on
I think
mute
you're
again.
still on mute.
I do that a lot. That's just good. Because I don't want to have any background noise, but I do forget. So let me share. Let me start by sharing their actual chatbot, and then I'll share their code. So I'll do this in 2 pieces. So first I'll do their chatbot. Let's see if this works. I thought that actually might do that. All right, I'm just going to actually share my screen. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to go here and do code, and then let's go to their chatbot. Okay. So here's the chatbot that they created. And so they used Tinker to program it in Python. And so we can actually get some just basic information, which is kind of nice. But then we can go into the main chatbot by clicking the arrow. All right, and we get to choose who we are, and then we will say chatbot is the name of that. Okay, and so the beginning is nice to give some usability, some little bit of help file. So let people know what to do. And then we can actually start chatting. So we can do some, oops, I always do forget to hit submit. So if we say hi, we can say hello. See if this actually live demos. I do see on this build, let's see if that actually is going to work. All right, so let me try this. Update Japan. I might have actually crashed it. Let me try that one more time. And then we'll jump into the code. Update world. And I will actually rebuild this. Okay, so let me rebuild that in a second. But here is the code for their project. So one thing that I was impressed about with the code is that they organized it nicely, so they made good use of functions and breaking up their code and organizing their code in a good way. Okay, we do that. All right, let me actually do this. I'm going to reshare in a second. I'm going to come back and share that window. Okay. So the other nice thing I like about the project is that they had multiple functionalities. So there's a nice chatbot feature where they did able to just have some simple conversations.
Yes, and Emily cannot.
Oh, there we go.
Emily.
And then also the other nice thing is that we're actually grabbing live data. And so actually this happened to be on part of the code that's doing that. And so they were pulling down live COVID-19 data. And so by country and then by the world. So through the chatbot, you can do things like update Japan, and it'll give you the statistics or the data, sorry, for all of Japan at the moment. Good. So another part of their project, which was nice, is they actually had a system checker. And so you could type in the symptoms that you're feeling, and then the chatbot would then go and make an assessment of your current condition. And so you're actually able to input multiple symptoms, which is nice. So it wasn't just one symptom like fever or sore throat. You could actually combine multiple ones, and then it would use some intelligence to try to come up with a diagnosis. Yeah. And this is all some code for updating a bunch of the different countries, which is nice. And then they also did incorporate matplotlib, which we saw in the video. So matplotlib is the graphing module for Python. And so you could, the data that you're pulling down for the current state of different countries, you could actually then visualize that using matplotlib. Good. All right.
There's quite a lot of elif functions, elif statements.
Yes. yeah. I will go back
Another
up.
thing I like about this project is you can ask random questions, and then depending on the questions, they might give a proper answer. But if it's a rather random question, they'll give you a random answer also at the end.
Yeah, just to make it fun.
Yeah, I agree that that is nice. Yeah, so good.
So we can actually we are unable to get the live stream in from their breakout room, but we can take a quick look at a snapshot of where they are right now.
Okay, good. Let me stop sharing.
Right, so that is all right. Let me start sharing. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So this is their project. So they are, I think, halfway through. So this function which reads the CSV, making good use of the CSV module. So that is good. And this part, this will be to this part to get the sentiment. This function to get the age, and the function to calculate the average sentiment. So it's getting the sentiment and then to calculate it. So and returning it as a statement.
Yep.
Yep. So I think they are well on their way to solve the first sub challenge.
Excellent.
Yeah, I suspect that. Yeah. So based on what we're actually seeing in their breakout room, they're actually coding on another platform. I think they are using Visual Studio Code.
Okay.
So probably on their local computer, and then I think when they're ready, then they will actually load it up onto their Replit. So they're not coding it live here.
Okay. That's good. But it is, I like that they're making good use of functions at this point. So which is nice to see students organizing their code, breaking it up into smaller chunks.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the challenge is actually designed such that they will be able to reuse their code. So if they actually plan it out well, the second part of the challenge, you can actually practically reuse all the functions that they have written earlier. So meaning question 3, 4, no, question 4, 5, and 6, you can actually reuse all the functions that is written for sub-challenge 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So for those who plan it well, they are going to accelerate in their speed of coding in the later half.
Good.
Yeah. I think Candice is working on getting the video ready for the next contestant.
It's ready actually. I can share the screen. It'll be Emily with Gigomi.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now.
Okay, let's get ready to see Emily's key highlights of her submitted project.
I'm Emily, and I will start off by introducing my project, Gigomi, which is a platform for people to post and take up jobs. The COVID-19 situation has impacted many different areas, one of the hardest hit being the economy. With higher unemployment, people face a loss in their income and have to compromise for a lower standard of living. So the project is built using Python and JavaScript. In this video, it shows that when the user logs in or sign up, the passwords are hashed before they are stored in the database. Video of a user posting a job. Furthermore, client-side JavaScript is used for fast filtration of jobs based on the criteria chosen by the user by manipulating the DOM elements. Next, a full CRUD model has been implemented for the job, allowing for flexible operations on each job. Using the Flask Mail library, which is built on a simple mail transfer protocol, users can receive important email notifications, such as when users take up, abandon, or delete their jobs. Thank you.
Right, that's it for Emily.
All right,
and her
good.
project Gigomi.
So let me close that project down. I will share my screen with, we have Emily's website running. So I'll come back over here and share. Okay. All right. So this is the site that she built. So using Python and Flask, if I'm not mistaken. Good. And so we have, we're on the jobs part of the site right now. And so looks pretty good. And then the chat feature, good. So right now I just created a new account, so I don't have very much in my setup, but I'm gonna click over here really fast, take a look at the dashboard, and we'll see if we can actually do this. Okay. Already taken. Okay. It's great. But so one thing I was impressed when we first saw the project is this how clean the site was, and then also the problem that was actually trying to solve. So with a lot of people out of work or looking for work because of the COVID-19, this actually solves an actual issue that we have right now. Okay, so I will stop that. And let me pop up her code.
Yeah, I like the project a lot as well because it is a system. So making use of database to store the entries and to present it on the website. And I think you're right. She actually made use of the Flask framework, so which is very lightweight and quite popular nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Exactly. Completely lost the train of thought. So I'll just move on from that.
Yeah.
so here's the code. Oh, I know I was going to say that you mentioned databases, so which is great to actually see young coders utilizing databases and using those in their projects. So from all the projects that were submitted, only a handful were actually using a database to store their data. So it was great that she did that. So
exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, looking at live coding that she is doing now, she is making use of Flask as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Challenge. Yeah.
That is great. Good. And if we look at our code that she submitted, so again, she's made good use of organization for her code, breaking her code up into functions.
Yeah, agree. And that's the part of the code where it checks for the user input data error.
Okay.
So it will actually check to make sure that the end date is later than the start date.
Okay.
So she takes care of all these details as well. So I like her code a lot.
Good. Yeah. Yep. I agree. So I thought it was very, very clean code and well written. And then good. All right. And there's some Flask specific stuff for doing the routing. Yep. Good.
Okay. We Candice actually got the live code stream in. So we can actually jump in to take a look at the live code.
All right. Excellent.
So Candice. That often happens, which is somehow if you're not fast enough, the streaming will actually cut off. So we are actually doing streaming, the connecting from one computer to another, because if we enter the breakout rooms, it is going to be a little bit noisy for the contestants. So they are going to talk within the breakout rooms. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
So the information is up. So she's making good use of the functions as well. Now she's working on getting the category. Oh, but it's all commented out though. So, yes, there's that part. So Eve, Alice, Patrick. This is the part where she is going to categorize the sentiment into the 5 categories: very negative, slightly negative, neutral, positive, and very positive. So she has already completed that, and now she's working on processing of the data. And you can see that she's pretty fast.
Yes, she is actually typing very, very quickly and efficiently, which is impressive. And also deciding not to use Replit for developing in, which is completely fine. So it looks like she is using Atom, I think. It looks like that. Okay.
I think Atom is very popular among web developers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think she uses this for her HTML as well.
Yeah, and it definitely makes sense. So being able to go fast, part of it does depend on how familiar you are with your IDE and your environment. So the more comfortable you are, usually the faster you can do shortcuts and things like that. So
yeah, exactly. I remember starting programming on Nano, which is on a Unix machine. So it is kind of an archaic kind of IDE nowadays. It's more like a text editor. But I was kind of surprised that one of the students who participated in the hackathon actually asked me about Nano.
That is good. So I was writing on using VI, which is even a little bit more archaic.
Yeah, there's a slightly newer version, the VIM.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's like kind of badge of honor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you code on Linux and you know how to use this obscure commands to move your text around and to be fast.
Exactly. Yeah. So VI can actually, people who are really good at it can go really fast if they know all the shortcuts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite amazing how fast some of them can go.
Yeah. Good. So Yeah, that's so. Is that? Do you know which question she's working on now?
Now it looks like she's working on the untagged data. So to automatically process the statement, making use of sentiment analysis.
Okay.
So in the challenge statement, we actually recommended or suggested that she can make use of the module called text blob. So text blob is built on top of NLTK. Yeah, the natural language processing package that is available on Python. So that's one amazing thing about Python. There are so many packages available, so you can develop your app really quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's I think on question number 3. I cannot no, maybe question number 5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, isn't this like similar to live gaming contest where people are gaming away, but instead of gaming away, so they are coding away?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be
So I've actually. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Brett.
Oh no, I say it could just be the new big thing. So.
Exactly. So I've actually asked a friend before, like, why do you enjoy watching the live gaming tournaments? So he mentioned that it can be kind of therapeutic, just looking at the game go on. So now looking at Emily code, I think it can be kind of therapeutic as well.
Yes, yeah. But I also think there's definitely a practical and beneficial aspect of looking over someone's shoulder. So when I was working on big teams, it was always nice to go into other developers' offices and just kind of take a peek at what they're doing, because you always learn something new, even if it's just a trick or a shortcut in VS Code that they're doing or using. You're like, oh, you can do that. Or something with coding, the way that they actually structure their algorithm or do something, you can learn a lot by watching what people do. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. And sometimes it is about the thought process, because usually a developer and a programmer wouldn't code linearly. So they could be doing the inner loops first before they do the outer loops and how to structure it. So by looking at the live coding in progress, you can actually sort of walk through with the developer the thought process that he or she has, right, as compared to looking at the final code that is developed. So I think by itself, it can actually be a good learning process.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Candice probably is ready for the
next one.
video.
Okay.
Yeah. And Candice, I think your mic is built.
Okay. Let's take a look at Kiran. COVID-19 Daily Bulletin by Kiran, 12 years old.
Hello everyone, I'm Kiran Ho Jianming and I'm from Singapore. So today I'll present to you my Global Hackathon 2020 project, which is the COVID-19 Daily Bulletin. People may not be well informed of our current situation. This may lead to irrational actions such as the spreading of fake news, wiping out of basic supplies. So my project solves the problem by making live news available from credible sources and coronavirus tips from WHO. My project uses both English and Japanese news and both Singaporean and Japanese coronavirus case counts to reach out to a bigger audience. It also has a quiz to help people gain understanding in a fun way. My code uses Tkinter to display the news and coronavirus cases count, and also the idle shell for the MCQ quiz. The updated news from credible sources, which includes both English and Japanese news, is enabled by the Python module requests. The coronavirus case count in both Singapore and Japanese uses APIs. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was Kiran Ho, 12 years old. I think I've got him live. Let's take a look whether we can see his current live stream.
Okay.
Connected. Oh no, not connected. Let me try again.
In some ways, Kiran's original project is similar to the project by Better Code Pending. Right, it actually makes use of the API, grab data, and use Tkinter as a user interface.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so I was the one thing I was impressed with when looking at his code, that he was grabbing live data off of APIs, which is great to see students doing. And I am.
Yeah, I think now we are looking at him coding live.
Okay.
He's looking at the challenge statement. Oh, looks like it is at question number 4.
Wow.
So this is the part where they have to break down the sentiment metrics, or rather categorize all the respondents based on their sentiment metric. So the metric actually goes from the numbers 1, representing very negative, to number 10, which is very positive. So they are supposed to categorize, instead of 1 to 10, just have it as extremely negative, slightly negative, neutral, slightly positive, and very positive. Yeah. So, and based on this in category, so it needs to count the number of survey respondents who fall under each category. Yeah. So this technique is often used in data analysis, where you could have a measure which is continuous. So say for example, grades for subjects. So it is 0 to 100. So if you are going to analyze each grade individually, it is going to be very difficult to have meaningful analysis and outcome from that. So by categorizing, it makes the analysis a lot easier.
Good.
Yeah.
All right,
I think Candice is trying to bring that back up.
Okay. Excellent.
Well, I think Kiran is coding directly on the Replit.
Yep. Yeah. Which Replit is a very interesting platform. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, using it as a straight IDE, it's still a little bit limited, but for being able to quickly test out new programming languages almost instantaneously, it's kind of remarkable. So
exactly,
if you want to,
and sharing it with your friends,
yep,
your peers.
Yep, exactly. And so there's actually a mode for invite, which you can actually do live coding. So I was wondering if William and Demi were going to do that, but it looks like you were saying they were using VS Code, which is also good. But you can do live coding in the same text file at the same time. Good, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Kiran is progressing well as well.
Okay, excellent. I will, and when we're done with this, I will show his code and project from the last one, but we can watch this a little bit more.
Okay.
All right, if we go there, okay, good. Let me just go ahead and share. Give me just 2 seconds. All right, I think I will, because I need to share his tinctor, I will do this. Okay, so here is his code from the project. Let me kind of clean up my VS Code a little bit. Okay, so before we do that, we'll go and take a look at his project. All right, so he made, used tinctor to use his, for his GUI, which is great. And so before Youngming, you're talking about API and getting live data. So this is the first button is update news. And so if we click on this, where he's actually grabbing current news off of the internet. So using API calls for that. And we can cycle through a couple of those. And we actually might coincidentally have the code open behind it using requests module. And then the other part of his app was a little bit of a quiz. So this is actually running, oops, I forgot. This is running in the terminal shell. Let me move Zoom out of the way. See if I can open up my terminal window again. And view terminal. There we go. So he ended up implementing his quiz in the terminal. So we have questions: under what circumstances are you allowed to go out? And we can say, sorry about that. There we go. We'll get that. It looks good. All right, so let's take a peek at his code. Let me hide that. All right. And so we mentioned that he was using APIs to get the live data from the internet, and then parsing it, parsing the JSON. And then this was his quiz part of his program. So he, it looks like he put all of his questions into an array. And then also, I was also happy to see that Kieran was using a lot of functions to break up his work. Good.
Yeah, one thing I like about this project is he incorporated the Singapore and Japan news.
Mm-hmm.
So in his updated project, he has a current count of like the confirmed cases in Singapore and Japan. Yeah, and the updates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah, it was nice. Yeah, that he made it global and included other parts of the world, which was great. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, and I do like that he ended up storing all of his data inside of a list instead of just keeping them all as flat strings. So that was nice. Good. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing that.
Okay, and I will show Sriharsha's project highlight.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Sriharsha, and what I've created for this Coding Lab project is an all-in web platform. The main features are an information page, getting the live data, the infection probability, and I've also added a blog forum where people can post their thoughts and what they like, just any stories or experiences they have about COVID-19. I can use the web platform to give data to government agencies who can later track and use the data to identify potential COVID-19 carriers. The key differentiator in my code is that I use machine learning to predict the probability of someone having the virus. And the data used for the prediction purposes can be obtained from current COVID-19 patients. And based on that, I fit that on a regression line. Using machine learning, I predict the probability. Due to lockdown in various countries, I'm sure that not many people will be going out. So the website is accessible to anyone, anywhere.
That's cool. By Sriharsha, all in one COVID website.
Yes.
Let's see if I can pull him up to show his current coding live.
Yeah, I remember being quite impressed by Sri Harsha's project. So he has one website that contains all the different elements of it. So it actually pulls data from the API. It visualizes it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him having a map and the location of the cases and the clusters. So that is another feature that he has. And I think he makes use of Flask too as a framework for his website. And on top of that, he actually attempted to build a mathematical model to determine the likelihood of someone having COVID-19 based on the symptoms. Say, for example, whether it's runny nose, fever, and what is the fever temperature. So it is based on not based on real data. So you can't really use it because such data isn't exactly easily available in terms of the clinical data of the patients, of real patients. It is not easily available. So, but I think he got the concept very well, right? Which is making use of this to train a model and then using the model to predict whether somebody has COVID-19 or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was impressed with that as well. So it looks like we have his code is on the screen now, and back into Stack Overflow, which is good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is a very, very popular site. We encourage our students to make use of Stack Overflow as well.
And then we'll in a little bit, we'll also show, we can do a little demo of his website in a few minutes. But we'll go over some of those points that you were talking about, Young Ming.
Yeah.
And then do you have a sense of which problem he's working on at this point?
It looks like he is working on categorizing the contestants based on their sentiment. And so whether it is very negative, slightly negative, neutral, or positive. So it is, I think, making use of an array or list to help with that. And let's see whether it is making use of pandas. So I suspect it isn't. Yeah, so there's a disadvantage of using Replit directly as an IDE. So where you got to go back up and copy, so it doesn't recognize the variables that you have created earlier or the functions that you can what do you call it? The autocomplete.
Yes. So you're saying that that functionality is not part of Replit yet?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Because while he is typing, I don't see any auto suggestion of the variables that he has earlier.
Yeah. I think the editor itself is still young, but like I said before, being able to just create a C++ project or a Rust project or Go, and without having to spend the time to spin up the environment is really, really nice feature. So
Agree. That part is amazing. Yeah. So last time when we have to use the different languages, most of at the initial phase, we'll always have to spend time, like you mentioned, to install, make sure that it works, right? All the different packages, and depending on whether you are using Linux, Mac, or Windows, you'll have to install the different things.
Exactly. Yeah, and it never works the first time.
So, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Should we take a look at his website or?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Okay. So we're going to share my computer, but it's going to be my computer number 2 that does not have a video. I need to do the sharing. So I need to go to computer number 2. And I will actually, again, I'm just going to share my whole desktop. Okay. So we should all see this. Perfect. Okay. So here is the website that we saw for a little bit in this video. And so the nice thing that I liked when we were looking at the submissions for the semifinals is just all the numbers of features that he actually had in here. So Young Ming was talking about the sort of probability detector, looking at the symptoms. That was this option here. So we'll go in there. Oh no! Let's see if localhost might actually be down. Give me 1 second. I might have to rebuild this. Let's try to do this one. All right. Let's take a look real quick. It's nothing like. Oh yeah, it looks like it stopped running. So let's rebuild this project really fast. Okay.
Yeah, this one.
There it goes.
Yeah, actually that is a good illustration of how sites like Replit is so amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, right, where you don't have to even run your local host to get Flask or Django working.
Yeah, it's really nice. Oh, I might have broke his project. maybe. Let's see what's going on. We'll see if I can get it working again. I did have it running a few minutes ago. Let me just restart everything. But so as we're saying, the nice thing I liked about his project is that just how many features that he had built into it. And then the live map was actually nice. So showing he had a graphical map of the COVID-19 cases, which was great. And so I will try this one more time. And then if it doesn't work, we will just look at the code. So I might actually restart this in a second.
Yeah, so he actually made use of quite a number of the modules. Pickle, which is good for file management, for persistent storage, NumPy, Pandas. Yeah, he actually made use of Pandas as well. So very good for data analytics.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so I think I will not show the website running at this moment. We can come back to it in a little bit. But we can take a peek at the code from his project. And so we're talking about grabbing live data. And so here's the APIs that I was using to get some of the live data. Yeah, okay, good. Good, and then this is all the flasks, the routing for the templates. And that was good. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stop sharing this for a second and I'm gonna try to rebuild it all really fast. I think I know exactly what the problem is. Okay. So how much more time do the coders have?
Oh, they have 8 more minutes.
Oh, 8 more minutes.
I think I should,
okay.
Yeah, so I think I should broadcast a message to them, just to remind them. Oh, okay. So Lynn, I think Sriharsha requires some help in her room. So can you drop in to her breakout room to actually help him?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and so, oh, this is rebuilding again. So what we're gonna do for any of the viewers that once the students are finished or the coders are finished, then we're gonna do a little presentation round. And so they're gonna talk about the code that they created today. And then we will ask them some questions about that as well. Okay.
Yeah, I actually remember not too long ago, one of the most popular web development stack is the LAMP stack. So, which is the Linux server with Apache and MySQL and PHP. So I think some people still use that, but I'm starting to see more and more people using the Python Django framework. So Django seems to be gaining a lot of popularity nowadays. And of course, Flask is popular as well, slightly more lightweight. And personally, I like Flask. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And the way, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think those templated frameworks like Django, Flask, Node Express, that they're becoming very popular. All right, I'm gonna try this one last time. See if I can actually get this built. Then if not, we will give up on it.
Yeah. So that's the thing about software development. Yeah. Sometimes it'll break on you when you most need it. So there was this time when I actually attended a talk. So that was quite a number of years back. I think it was at Stanford. So so this person is demonstrating machine learning with more of image processing. So he actually designed this algorithm which is able to recognize gesture. So now it is very, very easy. I mean, with TensorFlow and all the machine learning that is very common nowadays, it doesn't seem an amazing feat that was done. But back then, I think that was like 15 or maybe close to 20 years ago. So that was innovative at that point. And he was telling us that, okay, halfway through the presentation, somebody wanted to turn on the light. And immediately he actually stopped the person and said, no, don't touch anything. Because, yeah, so when it comes to image processing, the slight change in the environment is likely going to cause problem with the algorithm because everything is so sensitive back then. So, but then of course now 30 years later, it is a different field, different game altogether. So yeah, just look at Zoom.
Yeah.
The way it does the virtual background. It can even touch up the face, smoothen it, make everyone look more beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is pretty impressive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I think I will give up on this. I think I know what the problem is, but we'll have to do it later. So, okay.
Yeah, anyway, we're less than 3 minutes to the end of the hackathon. We're probably going to get ready to bring them all back in. So I'm going to just quickly drop them another message to remind them 3 minutes. Yeah, so it is just like having exams and the clock ticking down. So what's going to happen at 3:25 Singapore time and 4:25 Japan time is everyone is going to stop coding, and we're going to take a 5 minutes break for the contestants. They have been coding non-stop for the past since 1 o'clock. So for the past 2.5 hours. Yeah, so we're going to take a 5 minutes break before we're going to come back together at half past the hour to start our presentation. And maybe Lynn can roughly take us through the presentation format.
Yeah, okay, so we'll be going through in alphabetical order, and they have 6 minutes to present inclusive of the Q&A session from the judges. Yeah, so they will give a brief run through of what they have coded, what they have programmed, and yeah, they'll answer some questions.
Yeah. So we'll probably ask them questions like, what is most challenging about the challenge?
What do you like about it?
What do you enjoy most? Yeah. Then we can take a look at the code, yeah, and see who has some very short, nice, and sweet code.
I think all of them will have different styles of programming, so it will be quite interesting to see how they do it.
Exactly.
All right, and in the last minute, we got the live demo of his website up and running. So I got everything rebuilt fast enough. So we were talking about before that he has a lot of functionality built into his website, which is great. And so this was the probability detector that Young Ming was talking about. This is collecting the data to get symptoms and information, but then also the mapping of the current cases. Let's see if this ends up loading. It looks like it's going to. There we go. And we should have all of the, I think it's Singapore, if I'm not mistaken, is where he's pulling the data from. There we go.
Yep, Singapore.
Yeah. And so that was nice. And I also like that he actually built in a blog feature. And so the idea for this he was talking about is that people could share information back and forth. And so we can actually post something really fast. Let's see if this works. We will say our name is Don Donald Duck. How are you? Okay. This is something. Something. And there we go. It's spelled wrong, but we'll just test it out. And then we should actually get some live blog. So there we go. My horrible misspelling. This is something. So yeah, so that was pretty great. Good. And I think I see Kieran jump back in. Hey, Kieran. All right. So, and the last thing he had in the website was a temperature check, which was actually coupled together with this probability detector. But yeah, so I was impressed with the website. He did a great job. Okay, I'm going to exit. Oh, all right. I will stop sharing.
I've activated the closing of the breakout room.
Okay.
So now we're going to start seeing the contestants coming back into the main room.
All right. Hi. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys
Hello.
had fun
Hello.
coding.
Hello. All right.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. 3 minutes break. We will start the live at 3:30 Singapore time. Okay. Good job so far.
Yeah. Good work. Yeah. So everyone's got a little bit of a break. So what time do we start, Lynn?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 3-minute break. So you guys can feel free to run away and come back.
Yeah. Go take a quick break.
Yeah.
All right. Is everyone back?
Yes.
Kieran, are you there? I think Kieran and Ali needs a bit of time. All right. Hi, Kieran. Okay, so for later the presentation, we'll go in alphabetical order. So Ali will start first, and then everyone will have 6 minutes, inclusive of a Q&A session from the judges. So maybe you take around like 4 minutes to present, and then 2 minutes around Q&A. Yeah.
I share my screen.
Okay, great. Everyone's back, right? No, wait, Ali's still not back. Ali's there. Oh, Ali's there.
Yeah,
I was looking at his Scoto, so I thought he wasn't there. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes. Oh, everyone's back. Okay, so if everyone's back, we can start off with Ali.
I did the third challenge, and I will say there's a problem with my replicate, and I opened another replicate and it worked and produced matplotlib images. In replicate, it didn't produce anything. First, I read the CSV file. The first line is headers. I saved them. I saved delay and the headers by this line. For age comparison, yeah, I did challenges. So I used two functions, take data and untake data. With untake data, you use to get the polarity of the sentence, we use text block. We multiply by 10 because it's output to 0 and 1. We need to scale to 10. And I plotted the graphs, but it didn't work. But in another replicate, it worked. I didn't understand that. And it's a text editor and text-based. What take data? Yes, or error 4. That's right. So I guess it's error. And if we run again, take data. Oh, sorry. And say average sentence. Average sentence 4.8. First step. Yeah, I think it's all.
All right, great. Thank you, Ali. Yeah, great job. Okay, maybe we have some questions from the judges.
Yeah, so maybe I'll start first. So Ali, first of all, great job. So for this challenge, what is the most challenging part?
It's plotting the matplotlib, because I tried so much and it didn't work. I opened another replicate and for the same code. These are the output of data 2, data 3 in here. Average sentence, so negative percentage and text age and percentage age. These are the values, but it didn't work. It produced something, but in another replicate, it didn't produce anything. And it got me 45 minutes to solve that. And I didn't solve that.
Okay. But you have a couple of graphs. Just now you're showing.
Sorry, I didn't answer.
Sorry, I thought you managed to plot out the graphs because I actually saw some of the graphs that you're showing.
I managed to photograph, but another Replit. I put you a link to this in Google Forms. Another Replit, it works.
Oh, got it. Oh, I see. But you did save it to your Replit, right?
My Replit account, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you try to refresh it? Sometimes you need to refresh it for the files to actually show. So hopefully it is there. Yeah, it is there. Do you see all the files? The .png. Yeah, so you actually got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe some of the axes could be missing.
Yeah. Good. Nice. And so what? So Ollie, what was the most enjoyable part of the coding experience today?
Learning about Matplotlib. I know Matplotlib much. Yeah, it's a good experience.
Good. Excellent.
Would you be able to reuse any of the functions that you have created?
Yeah, take data and untake data are very similar, but they are only different with text block line and open line. They are very similar. Take data function and untake data function. It outputs a list that contains header, name of record, average sample, negative burst, text age. And in text-based communication form, I use data1, data2.
Yeah.
Data's index 2.
All right. Good.
Yeah, awesome job. Yeah, good work, Ollie.
All right.
And thanks for joining the hackathon. So yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali, for your great project. Okay, next up we'll have the team Better Program Pending, consisting of Demi and William.
Okay, hello.
Let me can share.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, what's good? All right, so yeah, we did challenge 3. These are the specific tasks we did in challenge 3. So it's one nice like kind of user interface terminal thing. So if I just run it, it's completely case insensitive, so I can just kind of do whatever. So here are the things we've written. For example, I could do like ask for a graph of the and it'll give me the graph. As you can see, the PNG pops up, and here's the PNG. It overlaps a bit, but tough. And
yeah, I'll start explaining this bit.
Right.
Okay. So scroll up. Okay. So here we had we used multiple functions so that we could reuse these functions later on, like for example, get sent and get age, so that we could reuse them in the other functions that we use, so that we can just make the function easier and shorter. Further down. Further. Def get mean up there. Okay, def get mean. We needed. This is for taking each mean of each age group. Scroll up a bit. So we had around 3 functions for this one task, because we wanted to make it as simple as possible, so that later on, we scroll down a bit. When we use show mean and get mean simple and graph mean, we could use that data we used previously shortly. So for here we have def graph mean, which is one of the graphs that we print, and we use matplotlib graphs, bar graphs, and yeah.
We learned from our semi-finalist submission. So this time, instead of having like, before we had many else if statements. So now we put them all inside a dictionary. So then it just checks, is the user input inside the list of things for each possible function, and it'll just run the function. So it's less lines of code and more simple. And yeah, I guess I could just, yeah, that's our code. Yeah, it works nicely. Yeah.
All right, great job, you two. Good that you got something from your other participants. Okay, have any questions from the panelists?
Yeah, I think it's a great job, and it is fantastic to see that you actually learn from the semi-finals presentation. I think I remember asking you that question, which is, would you be able to shorten the number of if-else statements? And with that, you actually learn, and for your finals, you actually have a different approach to doing this. So that is fantastic, right? So, so there's for you, there's two of you. So tell us a little bit more about the challenges when it comes to two of you working on the same code together.
Well,
you go first.
So the first thing we did was we split up the tasks. So like somebody said, okay, I'll do the challenges under number 2, so like 2.1, 2.2. Dimi, can you do 2.2, 3.1? And we used Visual Studio Code Live Share, and we actually had 2 files originally, which one was, because we're all just basically writing in functions. We had one file where Dimi wrote his functions, and another file where I wrote my functions, so we could all run our own code whenever we wanted. And then once we were all done, we put them all into the one code, which we put on Replit.
Yeah, I think the key thing was using functions, so that the functions, one function can, like one part of the code cannot affect the other person's code. And functions were really useful for us and working together.
Nice. And what was the most difficult part of the project? So maybe from a technical point of view.
Great.
Yeah. So I guess
Probably
the graphs, because at first when we did the graphs, the axes didn't show, and the bars were very weird. But I just
end.
Yeah, so I just looked back at some codes I've written like a couple months ago, and I saw how I wrote matplotlib back then, and I kind of rewrote some of the graph code and then now it works nicely.
And we used our knowledge from the previous chatbot, the line graph matplotlibs, and since it was basically the same thing, we used that knowledge for this.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Any other questions, Jungming?
No, I think it was very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Good job. Good job, guys. Excellent work.
Okay. Thank you. Team Better Program Planning. Great planning there. Okay, next up we'll have Emily Ong.
So this is my project. I decided, like, instead of a text-based program, I wrote something like that displays on the web page. So this part is the people's response, which is tagged. And below here, there are all the relevant data, such as the average sentiment and etc. But I didn't manage to finish the program that will allow the user to select which data to display. And these are all the raw data. So at the bottom here is the people's response that's untagged, plus all the other relevant data processing and raw data. And in my program, I tried to make it as modular as possible. So I use quite a bit of functions. So the first one would be get age. So based on the different age groups, I return the like age group that they belong to, because these are the keys that will be used in the dictionary later on. And similarly for the category, I also returned the sentiment category. And this function process data will read through the CSV file based on the certain file name and extract out the relevant data, including the date, age, statement, and sentiment. So here are the functions for the data processing. First is to get the percentage of negative sentiment. Then I have one which is get sentiment by age. So get sentiment by age, basically I created a dictionary with all the relevant age groups and the population and average sentiment metric. Then based on the age that the get age function returns, I will populate the dictionary accordingly. And this function is get average sentiment. And this one is get sentiment by category. Oh yeah, and for the untagged CSV file, because we need to find the sentiment metric. And from the documentation, the sentiment metric, I suppose, is the polarity, is between like minus 1.0 and 1.0. So in the challenge statement, they told us to have the sentiment metric to be bounded between 1.0 to 10. So I tried to have a graph, which is something like this. And based on this graph, I calculated I assume it's like a linear relationship. So I calculated the M and C. And then based on this, I calculated the sentiment metric from the polarity. But I didn't really have time to do the graph because I was having trouble like saving the figures into the Python app. I think that's all.
All right, thank you, Emily. I think it's great that you did on the using Flask. Do you use Flask to do onto the website?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe have a Q&A from the judges.
Yeah, so
I think it is.
Oh,
go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Now, I was just going to ask from the experience today is so what was the most difficult technical aspect that you ran into?
I think one of the hardest thing was to like try to save it to the graph. Previously, I tried using Matplotlib and created some bar graph and to save the figure, but somehow it had some error. And then I didn't want to waste too much time debugging it, so I just moved on to the other code first.
Good.
I think you've done a fantastic job, and I'm glad that you actually got the part on mapping the sentiment metric from the text blob, which is from -1 to 1, back into the range of 1 to 10. So that part was deliberately done to get you all to think about the metrics being, in a way, the scale is arbitrary, so it is always possible to map from one scale to another. So glad to see that you actually got that. So question for you, how did you plan out your project?
I tried to read through the challenge statement. So basically, like, there are two CSV files, one which is tagged and one which is untagged. And both of them have like, they are supposed to perform the same operations of both of them. So you can like simplify all the functions to just the various like get sentiment by age or by category, etc. Then you don't need to repeat the code again. So I just started out by making all those functions.
Nice, well done.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, excellent. And last, what was the most enjoyable part of the coding experience?
Maybe seeing like some parts of it works, like getting display on the web page plus yeah, about that.
I agree. That's always very satisfying once you code and then you run it and it works, especially if you had to fix a few bugs to get to that moment of it working. So yeah, good job.
Exactly. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Good job. Next up, we'll have Kieran Ho.
Okay, hello. Let me share my screen now. Okay, here we are. Okay, so this is my code. I didn't have time to like finish it, and I'm not exactly sure whether like half of it works, so I'm not that proud of it. Okay, so basically, I grouped it into like the sub challenges so that we have like the stuff here, so that it's like easier for me to understand which I've done and which I've not done. Okay, so this is the first part. This is the first challenge. Prints out the headers and the rows, and then this the average sentiment metric, and yeah, the rest of this stuff. Then suddenly I ran into this error, which is sad. So that means I couldn't like compile the rest of my code. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure whether it works. I only completed until challenge like 5.1. I must say, if I had more time, I would want to like make my code like more understandable, because most of it is like very extremely long and hard to understand. I would maybe use like functions as the others have done. And also, if I had more time, I would probably want to complete this. So yeah. Okay.
All right, great. Thank you, Kieran. I think you did pretty well. And we have some questions from the judges.
Yeah, I think first of all, you should be proud of yourself. Right? You did this in less than 3 hours. It's time constraint, and you have done quite a bit. And looking at the code, I think you actually got the idea of most of the challenges. So be proud of yourself. Okay, and you're like what, 13 years old this year?
12.
12.
Am I holding it the wrong way around? 12.
That's on the camera. So yes, be proud of yourself. So what was the most enjoyable part of doing this challenge?
The most enjoyable part was like there was one area, there was one like point in time where where there was like this very weird like error and I couldn't understand it. So I just looked at the I think it was around here. So I looked at this part, then I realized something was wrong here. Then I fixed the bug, and that was the most enjoyable part of this. Yeah, I felt very satisfied.
Nice. I mean, fixing bug is always very enjoyable. I mean, that's the joy of solving problems.
Definitely. And one thing looking at your code, which I'm really glad you used, Kieran, is you used with blocks when you open and close your files, which is great. And so that is the recommended way to open files. So it guarantees that you don't leave things floating around, not closing them. So it's a good thing to be doing. Yeah. Yeah. Good. And what else?
All right, any last questions? No? All right, then good job, Kieran.
Yeah, awesome job. Good work, man.
Great job.
All right, last but not least, we have Shrihasha.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so I started out with this. So what this block of programming does is basically gets me the total number of records in the tagged file, number of responses from people, and then I moved on to getting the average sentiment score. Over here, I shifted from with open because using the pandas data frame, it was like I could use just like one single statement to get the column I required. Then what I did was once I got the average, so what I actually did was I printed the sentiment scores and like the total number of records as strings. And like next time what I want to do is have a function and I could just call all of them like together at the end. These are the percentage of respondents who feel negative. Then after that, I move on to getting the average sentiment based on the age group. So I only did the first part for this because what happened was at the start I used the column data frame. I used the column for like the sentiment metric. So I was actually grouping the children, teenagers based on the sentiment metric instead of the age. And then after that, since one of the instructors helped me, I corrected that, but I've already spent like too much time. So I had to like manage my time moving forward and completing the other challenges. Then I get the average, and then this is basically the same thing. This is basically printing out the score for each age group. Then this is the sentiment category. So I grouped the percentage of respondents with the sentiment score of very negative, slightly negative, neutral, slightly positive, and very positive. And then I use the math module over here just to make the data look a bit more neater. Yeah. And then this just graphs the sentiment score. I'll run it later to just show like a simple like graph file, like how I did it. And this is where I do the sentiment analysis on the untagged CSV file using the text block module like what others used. And then since most of them were like given in like small decimals and they were like all not on the scale from 1 to 10, I just multiplied the polarity of the sentiment scores by 10, and then I rounded it to make it look better, and then I printed it over here. Yeah, that's pretty much my code.
All right. Great job, Shrihasha.
Yeah, good job.
Questions?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I'll start. So yeah, this looks good. Good job. So what do you from today? What was the most difficult challenge today that you had?
So I think the most difficult thing, the most challenging thing was managing my time. What happened was at the problem which I specified earlier, I spent like almost 20 to 30 minutes just figuring out how to do like that small thing. And then due to that, I wasn't able to get ahead with other challenges. So next time, if I get an opportunity like that, my main thing is to manage my time. And if I get stuck at one problem, I just move on to the others and come back to that.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think time management is an important skill to start developing and thinking about. And so especially in this situation where the time is compressed down to just a couple hours, but then when you actually start expanding that out with larger projects, those same skills of time management become very important. So trying to manage a large project on weeks or months requires the same kind of skill. So I think it's good to start thinking about that. Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I think very well done. So it is interesting to see that you actually made use of pandas. So pandas is actually quite a powerful module that can be used for data analytics. So, but do you know that with pandas, it is actually possible for you to solve quite a number of the aggregation problems without you even having to look through it. So pandas actually have that capability. Yeah, so that's something for you to explore after today.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
is like one of my main problem was organizing the code. Like if you can see like while I'm scrolling through it, most of it isn't like a function, but most of it is just on its own. So so I think in the future, one thing I'll also have to keep in mind is making my code like as small as possible, but also organizing at the same time.
Cool. Yeah, reusability is very important. So actually, some of the later questions can actually utilize any functions that you have written for question 1 and thing to 3. So because they are actually very, very close, it is just about you being able to extract it and turn it into a function. Okay. So question, which part is the most enjoyable in this final hackathon?
In the final hackathon, I think the most enjoyable part was probably getting that single line to work. I was like struggling. I was like thinking on like what am I doing wrong? And like it was like quite simple, which I just had to change this column. I put in that, but I think yeah, once I got that to work, I was like quite satisfied.
Nice.
All right, great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, good job, everyone. I think everyone did a very fantastic project given the short amount of time you had. So good job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe have some closing statement from Brian and Young. Maybe Brian first.
Yep. Yeah, I'll go first, and I'll let Young Ming finish. But so we wanted to thank everybody for joining the hackathon. We were very happy and surprised to see so many young people want to join and code. So we're glad that you guys all joined up. We hope it was a fun experience, and we hope it was you learned something from the experience too. But yes, everybody did awesome work. The submissions and the semifinals to the finals. So that's great that there's a lot of other people that submitted projects. So it's great that all 5 of you actually made it this far. So that was awesome. So thanks for coming. One bit of just logistics. So the judges will start looking over the projects the next couple of days. And then we will announce the winners. I forget, Candace is the keeper of dates.
Yeah, the 9th of May.
9th of May.
9th of May. So we will announce it on the 9th of May. But yeah, so thanks everybody for coming. I hope today was a fun experience. Good. All right, so Young Ning.
Yeah. First of all, I think everyone did very well. So it is amazing the code and the program that you actually created under the time pressure of 3 hours. So great job, everyone. So the main objective of this hackathon is for young coders like you to really develop your computational thinking skills by applying this coding to real life problems. So at the end of the day, like I think a number of you mentioned that having that end product where the website and the code and getting the code to work and showing something, having that tangible output is a great thing. It is a great motivator for many of us, and I'm sure that is the case for many of you as well. It motivates you. There's a little goal. There's a tangible thing at the end of it. So that is important, and so that's why having all this practical application makes it so much more fun and meaningful. But on top of that, I just want to stress upon you the process and the journey. The process of thinking about the problem, the process of thinking about how you structure the code, the process through which you think about how you tackle the final challenge. That itself is a great learning experience. So I'm glad to hear William mention about how from semifinals he actually learned something which he now apply to the finals. So that is a great example of how every step that you take is a learning example. So do remember this, which is the process is in fact even more important than the end point. So enjoy that process as well. So with this, I wish all of you an amazing learning journey, which I hope will never end. Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you next year.
Yeah, 2021.
Bye-bye.
I will check
Bye,
for
Ollie.
all of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining.
And refresh method worked.
Yeah.
I didn't think of refreshing it. It worked.
Okay. Good. Bye, Ollie.
See you.